Hey, welcome. I hope you guys are doing okay. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's reading is the person on your mind. What are they thinking about you, the situation at the moment? Okay, we'll see what messages come through. So we have 4 groups today: group 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you need to pause the video so you can take a moment to choose your group, feel free. But I will see you guys in your readings. Hey, welcome. If you've chosen the first group, then this reading could be for you, the person on your mind. What are they thinking about you, the situation at the moment? We have the 9 of Wands upright. We have 4 of Wands upright, and we also have the Page of Cups upright. Alright, so it feels like they're thinking that you are under pressure. They also think that they've been putting you under pressure for some of you. And, if they have been putting you under pressure, they feel that they need to stop. They need to maybe rethink how they approach certain things with you. So they either think that they've been unfair to you, they feel like they've been hard on you, that they need to stop before things get worse between you guys, or before they push you away. And it feels like they realize they've been taking their stress out on you. But for some of you, they could think that maybe, other situations have been unfair to you, hard on you, that kind of stuff. And in regards to them though, and them potentially being, a point of stress for you, they do think that, as their stress subsides, they see the impact that it has on you and on other people. And that's something that they have been thinking about. They've been thinking that they need to rectify any wedges between you guys, or they've been thinking that they nearly created a wedge or a setback in your relationship, or that they did actually create one. Even if it's minor, they are glad it can be fixed, or has the potential to be fixed, or that it has already been fixed. But they do feel that you're still feeling a bit hurt by them. They could think that they've been a drain on you and your energy lately, or this may be something that has happened throughout your relationship, them kind of being a drain on you. And they do feel you've been left confused by them in your relationship or in general. They think that without them, you are pretty stable on your own. And right now, they could believe you're losing confidence because of them, maybe something they did or something they said. They also think that you're stable with them as well, and they hope nothing happens to jeopardize that. But they do think you guys need to build or continue to build the confidence that you have in each other. If it's not the confidence you have in each other, it could be the confidence joint confidence that you guys have towards something else, They do think that they need to do something to show you that they can be good for you, short term and long term. So they do think you still trust them, and they need to do what they can to keep it that way. They do think that they could accomplish a lot with you around. They think that you both understand each other on some level, but still needing to understand each other more on a deeper level, which they do feel will come with time. And they have been thinking about how they need to learn from the past when it comes to maybe pushing people away. and kind of, take those lessons and kind of apply it to the relationship that they have with you before they end up pushing you away, which is something that they don't want. And they also feel that you won't put up with that stuff forever. And yeah, so they feel like you won't put up with that stuff forever, especially if they do end up falling back into old habits. But they do think you're generally a very positive and optimistic person. They think that you want them to be a part of maybe your life in in a more deeper way. They could think you want them to be a part of your family, or be more involved with your family, or things that are personal to you, whether that be people or other things. And and yeah, like, they do think you're caring, they do think you're affectionate and reliable. They do think that communication needs to get better between you guys. Not that they think it's bad at the moment or anything. Yeah, they don't think communication is bad between you guys. Um, but they would like for it to, grow, right? And they do feel you guys could have good and insightful conversations. They could want more of those kind of conversations with you. For some of you, they're thinking about moving in with you. Like, they do feel that their life will be much easier with you around. They think that you have maybe a beautiful home, maybe your environment is really beautiful. They could think that they could have a comfortable life with you. Um, and they also think that being with you might offer them some type of protection, or stability or security in some way. They do think that they need to be more generous with you, though, more open, more vulnerable. And they do think you're very beautiful. For some of you, this could be cute, cute and beautiful or cute, I don't know. But yeah. And they do think you are a harmonious person as well, and that you're generally very easy to get along with. They could also think you are a high achiever. So for some of you, they do think you want marriage, or you want to marry them, um, depending on who you're asking about. But they do think you might be willing to move forward with them without the, promise or prospect of marriage. So for some of you here, like, they do want a deeper connection with some of the people you have connections with. They also think that you have a big heart, that you are quite sensitive, and they do think that you being able to express yourself is really important to you. Whether that be, through talking, creatively, or, through some other medium. But they do think you can be, quite idealistic, that you are a dreamer, but they don't think you're naive, though. Okay, so we also have stop whining. We have step away from the crazy diet. We have finding the path. You are the driver and the navigator. We have animal, embrace your wild side. We also have face and embrace all parts of yourself. So we also, it says intimacy, kiss, hug, and we also have value your self-worth and heightened intuition. So I don't know about whining, but they could think that they need to stop being negative. This could be about your relationship, maybe certain things within your relationship. They could think you're a bit over it, with them being negative, or maybe, maybe whining about certain things. So with this step away from the crazy diet, they could think that they need to be more nourishing of you, or like more nurturing of you. It's like sometimes maybe they have it in their head that if they do this thing, or if they say this thing, that they're kind of doing it with your best, your with best intentions in mind. And they could realize now that even though they think that them doing something is, positive or good, that sometimes it isn't the healthiest. So sometimes they could think that they need to like reevaluate maybe how they say things. So in some situation, they could think that you need to value your self-worth more. It doesn't feel like it's referring to them though. So with animal, embrace your wild side, they could actually think that you love animals. Maybe they know you love animals. They could think that you, if you don't already, like they could think you want to maybe have a fur baby with them. So with finding the path, they think that they need to be the one to kind of steer your relationship in the right direction. So with intimacy, kiss, hug, they've been thinking that they do want that side of your relationship to grow. So with heightened intuition, they actually think that you are very aware when it comes to them, maybe, some of the things that they do with their behavior. And so they kind of just think that you maybe just know them, and I don't know. I mean, they could think you're intuitive, but it doesn't feel like it's coming from that direction with them. But they do think that you know them. They think that you have like a good understanding of them and some of the things they do. And finally, I'm just going to get some more cards and then I will finish the reading there. Okay, so what are they thinking about you? Okay, so we have cautious, we have naughty, we have frugal, and we have philosophical. So they could think you're philosophical about certain things, they could think you're a bit frugal, with some things, maybe just financially conscious, maybe financially smart about certain things. They could think you are a bit naughty or you have a naughty side, maybe a bit cheeky, maybe quite flirtatious as well. And finally, they could think you are quite cautious too, whether it's in regards to them or when it comes to certain things that you do err on the side of caution. But that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I do hope it can be helpful and make sense, and I'm wishing you the best. Okay, take care. Bye. Hey, welcome. If you've chosen the second group, then this reading is for you. I hope you guys are doing good. So the person on your mind, what are they thinking about you at the moment or in general? We'll see. Okay, so it feels like they are thinking. Just double check where this is coming from. So they do think that you don't really want anything to do with them, either at the moment when it comes to something specific, or in general. But I am getting the feeling that they think that you are moving on to the next phase of your life, possibly leaving them behind. And if that is the case between you and this person, they could think that you will regret leaving them behind. At the moment, they do think that you are a bit of a mystery to them. It feels like they don't really know what to think about you, or they could think that on some level they don't really know you at all or anymore. They do think you're adventurous though. They do think, see, they could think you want more adventure in your life or more action, maybe more passion or purpose. And they do think you want more stability as well, and you don't want them or people, other things in general, to kind of get in the way of that. They do think you have a strong foundation right now. They do think you're letting go of the old, perhaps negativity, to make space for these new things and these new places that you're kind of trying to transition into, and to kind of just make space for the new. But they could think that you're feeling a bit lost, that you are trying to find your way. But even though they think you're kind of leaving some things behind you, they also feel that you're still holding onto the past. They do think you are very self-aware, or you're becoming more self-aware. For some of you, breaking free from something or someone that has had an influence on you. Doesn't necessarily have to be a negative influence, but they could think you're just breaking free of influences in general. And now they do think you want success, and they could think that you want the influence now, instead of being the one that is influenced. So yeah, they could think you want some control over the things around you. And they do think that you're generally open to what life has to offer. They don't necessarily think you're stuck with a specific goal. Like, they do think that there is like movement in what you want, and what you're willing to attract. But they feel like you don't want to be restricted, and they do think you're trying to break away from some restrictions that you may have. They think that you have a good structure in place, or you're trying to put a structure in place or a system in place for yourself. I think I may have said this already, but they do think you want a strong or stronger foundation. They do think you're generous and kind. They think that you aren't giving a lot away right now. They think that you're calm, grounded, logical, and rational. They think that your decisions are well thought out as well. And they do think that you want to be protected, and they kind of feel that maybe you didn't feel that way with them or other people in your life, or in certain environments. And they do think you're steadily trying to build some area of your life or rebuild. They could think you're being quite strict with some of the people in your life. They could think you're kind of developing higher standards for the people in your life. Maybe for yourself as well. But they do think you have a lot of faith in yourself and confidence. They do think you're trying to advance in some or all areas of your life. Like they could think you don't want to look back in 5 years and kind of be in the same place, in the same position. They do think that you kind of just want something different for yourself. And they do think you have faith that you will achieve those things. So they could also think that you're trying to find your purpose. Maybe you already have found your purpose and that's something that you're kind of focused on. They could even think that you're being led spiritually. Yeah, so they could think you are being guided spiritually. They think that you are healing as well. So even though they see you as very calm, they do also think of you as quite fiery as well. They think that luck is on your side, that you are overcoming limitations and blocks. I think I already said this, but they do think you're healing mentally, emotionally, think you're healing from the past as well. But they could also think you're taking care of your health in other ways too. So they do think you're beautiful. They do think you've spent some time doing some soul searching, just in a state of introspection as well. But they do think you're still learning stuff about yourself and other things really. But yeah, there's not much else coming through with these cards. So we also have that project, that person, that idea is waiting. We have take a shot. We have energy of love. We have mountain, hill, reach your goal. We have internet, embrace the fact that you are the world. We have life lessons. And it says you can break free from recurring negative patterns by praying to know the lesson and the blessings that they contain. And finally, we have natural beauty and authenticity. So with that project, that person, that idea is waiting, they could think that you don't want to put certain goals that you have on hold anymore. Or this could be referring to like other areas of your life as well. But they could generally think that you do want to be more proactive. And with take a shot, like they do think you are taking a chance on some of the goals that you do have. So with natural beauty and authenticity, like they do think you are naturally beautiful. They do think you are, trying to be yourself. They think that you are maybe embracing yourself or trying to, they could think that you're quite unique in general, actually. And honestly, they do think that you have a lot of positive qualities. So, do you know how I said earlier, like they do think you are being led spiritually? Like they could think you have this connection to the world, to the things around you, to yourself as well, to something higher than yourself. But they don't necessarily think you are someone that is spiritual. Like they could just think you're lucky for some of you guys, but they do kind of think that you seem quite blessed, or you just kind of have this certainty and this trust in your direction and the things that you do, even if it's like an unknown or it's uncertain or it's a risk, you know. So with energy of love, like they do think you have a lot of love to give. With Mountain Hill, reach your goals. Like they do think you've either reached quite a few of your goals already, or they do think you are on this journey to reach, more of your goals. And with life lessons, like they do feel that you've learned a lot throughout your life. They do think you are trying to, avoid repeating certain patterns. And they do think that you're trying to put the lessons that you've learned into practice. So I'm just going to grab some more cards and then I will end the reading there, okay? So what are they thinking about you? Okay, so we have predictable, we have unpleasant, we have quiet, and we have crazy. So with predictable, they actually don't think you're very predictable at all. They could think you're unpredictable. And with unpleasant, they don't necessarily think you're unpleasant, but they could sometimes think you are perceived that way. They do think you are, I don't know if they think you're quiet in general, but they could think you're quiet about, some of the things you do, maybe some of the moves that you make. For some of you, they could think you're just maybe a quiet, maybe more introverted person. But they do also think that you are sometimes perceived as crazy, but they don't think that themselves. But that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I do hope it could be helpful and make sense, but I'm wishing you guys the best, okay? Take care. Bye. Hey, welcome. If you've chosen the third group, then this reading could be for you, the person on your mind. What are they thinking about you, the situation at the moment? So we have the Three of Pentacles upright, Knight of Cups in reverse, and the High Priestess. Okay, so they could think that you're working hard right now, that you know what you want, that you're focused. They could think that you are a part of an environment or a team that's reliable, or you want to be a part of an environment, group of people, a community that is reliable, that does have the same vision as you. For some of you, they could think that you are looking for growth in terms of your work, your career, your job. And, they could either think that you are wanting to collaborate with some good people, or that you soon will be, or that you already are collaborating with, people who are good for you, that you're maybe working with people that share similar values to you, or that you guys just work very well together, or they could think that's something that you want. They do think that whatever you're learning now is taking you places, or it will take you places. They think that your work, your ambitions are important to you, that you want stability, you want a strong foundation, and you want to move forward in your goals. They do think you are a studious person, like they could think you're always learning, always picking things up. And they do think you're feeling incredibly motivated right now, that you're determined, and that you generally are quite resilient and don't give up easily at all. For some of you, they do think you are gaining valuable knowledge. For some of you, it could be financial knowledge they think you're gaining. And they generally think that you are someone that listens, you learn, that you pick things up that are important, that will add value to your life, or things that you're doing. So they could also think that you want a better reputation, or that's something you're currently working towards, whether this be in general, or a certain environment, like your work environment, for example, or in your community, or another group that you could be involved in. But yeah, so for some of you, they could think that you are maybe out of their league, or that they aren't your usual type. They do think you are very attractive, and they could have the insecurity that you are settling for them, or that you would be settling for them. And at the moment, they do feel that you've been making them promises that you don't intend on keeping, or promises that you maybe can't keep, or won't be able to fulfill for whatever reason. And for whatever reason, like, they could think that you've been lying to them. Like, they could also think that you haven't properly let them into your life, or certain areas of your life, and they could feel that you don't intend on actually doing that. But they do think you are a very supportive person. They think that you've been supportive of them as well. They think that you are emotional, maybe overly sensitive at times. And for some of you here, they do think you are more successful than they are, or you will be more successful than they are. They do think you're more active than them as well. And these could be some of the things that contribute to their insecurities and them possibly feeling, less than you. So at the moment, they could think there are things that you are, hyper focused on, things that you are slightly obsessed with. And for some of you, they could think that you are kind of maybe taking that attention away from them. But for others of you, they could think that they are the object of your obsessions. So they could also think you are flirty with other people, maybe that you're naturally flirty or charming, maybe naturally kind of get along with people as well. Like they could think you're quite a social person. So this person, they could think that eventually someone will steal you from them, or that they will end up missing their chance with you. And for some of you here, they could think that if they were to bring something to your attention, that you might lose patience with them, that you might be put off by them, that you might be a bit dismissive about it, or, consider them being nagging or annoying. But they do think you aren't completely real with them about something. They do think your perspective on things change, quite often. They think that you see them as unmotivated and maybe a bit stagnant. They do think you guys have a good emotional and physical connection though, or they think that you could, depending how, deep you are with this person. But so they could also think you're trying to avoid a conflict with them, possibly a difficult conversation. So they also think that you see yourself as quite innocent and your actions as, quite harmless. They do feel that you guys are still learning stuff about each other. So for some of you, they could think that you haven't noticed that they've been more introverted lately, or not really been themselves. And they could also think that you aren't making them feel safe somehow, maybe safe in the connection that you have with them. So they could also think that you don't genuinely care about their needs, or maybe what they need from you and the relationship they have with you. They do think you're stepping into your feminine energy a bit more as well. And they do think there are certain things you're keeping from them, maybe certain secrets that you're keeping from them. Sorry, one moment, guys. I'm just going to turn on the light because it's getting a bit dark. Okay, so moving on. We have you are loved. We also have whatever you're thinking about, don't do it. We have live in the moment. We have divine life purpose. We also have sensitive emotions. We have go with the flow. And we also have email, be mindful of the messages that you send. So with you are love, they do think that they need to show you more love, maybe affection, or just show you more care. With whatever you're thinking about, don't do it. They could think that maybe something within your relationship is uncertain. Like they could be afraid of something spontaneous or impulsive happening in your relationship. And maybe they're just, for some of you, maybe they're just afraid of change in general. And maybe you're more open to it. So they could think that some things in your relationship might change, which it doesn't necessarily think they're looking at that as a positive. That they could be nervous actually about certain things in your relationship changing. So with go with the flow, they could actually think that you want them to kind of go with the flow a bit more, maybe not be so strict or restrictive. And with email, be mindful of the messages you send. So they could also think that they need to be quite mindful of how they communicate with you, the things that they say to you. Just be mindful of how they could potentially come across to you. And be careful of how they're potentially portrayed, in your eyes. So with divine life purpose, they could actually think that you want more of a direction from them, or in your relationship with them, should I say. And for some of you, they could think you don't necessarily find your relationship with them as fulfilling, or just certain parts of your relationship with them fulfilling. So they do generally think you live in the moment. And with sensitive emotions, they also think that you can be quite sensitive, but they also think that you want them to be more sensitive. They could think that you want them to care more about how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and your emotions in general. Okay, so just gonna grab a few more cards and then I will cap the reading there. Okay, so we have doubtful, extroverted, sensitive, and formal. So with this one, please only take it if it makes sense. But for some of you, they could think that you need to dress more formally, maybe in certain environments and places. With sensitive, I know this message has come out with the oracle cards and the tarot cards, but they could think you're quite an empathetic person in general. With extroverted, it doesn't necessarily seem like they think you're extroverted, even if you are. But they do think that you have your moments where you are extroverted, or in certain environments you seem a bit more extroverted. And with doubtful, it feels like they are doubting your relationship, maybe, the certainty of your relationship, the, long term, when it comes to your relationship as well. But that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I do hope it can be helpful, and I'm wishing you guys the best. Okay, take care of yourself. Bye. Hey, welcome. I hope you guys are doing okay. Thank you so much for joining me. So, the person on your mind, what are they thinking about you at the moment? We have the moon upright, the page of wands in reverse, and we also have the nine of cups in reverse. So please only take these messages if they make sense, okay? So for whatever reason, this person, they could think that you are being immature, maybe a bit selfish as well. They do think you don't trust them, and they feel that you have your reasons, and they could even feel that you're justified, in not trusting them, because they do feel that, they've given you reasons to not trust them. And at the moment, they do think you're wearing a bit of a mask. They could think that no one knows the real you, or just certain people don't really know the real you, or they don't. And they could feel this anger towards you as well, or the situation that you guys are currently in. Like, they do think you aren't really giving them a chance, that you're trying to put them down in some way. They could either think you are insecure in general, or just a bit insecure when it comes to them, like maybe, insecure about your relationship, their intentions, or something else you are more aware of. And they do think you aren't paying enough attention to them right now, and generally see them as not important, and see them as having no benefit to you, or not having much benefit to you. They could think you feel anxious around them. They do think you're kind of hysterical, and not in a funny way, but like a manic kind of way, either in your relationship with them or in general. They also think that you don't really have much motivation when it comes to them. They could think that you use them in some way, and they kind of have the impression that you're rushing through your life, that you're impatient, that you're not very stable. They also think that you're frustrated with them. They could think that you have anger towards them as well. And they can get the impression that you sometimes feel too stagnant with them, or in your relationship with them, or with them around. And they could think that you need like constant movement or excitement. Even though you may not have a lot of energy in their perception, they feel that for someone who doesn't have much energy, you sure like to maybe move around a lot, do a lot. You like excitement, you like the constant movement, and they could kind of feel that you saw them as getting in the way of that. They do think you're changeable. They think that you don't really commit to things, or when you do commit to things, it's kind of like shallow, or it doesn't last long, your commitment to certain things. And they could think you don't really commit to them, whether that be promises you make them, or just committing to your relationship with them. And they do think you are generally unreliable and inconsistent, and they do think you don't finish some of the things that you start, you don't keep your promises, or you sometimes try to back out of your promises. Like, they also think you get distracted quite easily. In some way, they could think you're trying to restrict them, or you were trying to restrict them. They don't think you have much confidence in yourself, but at the same time, they think you can be a bit arrogant. They could think that you are afraid of failing. Like they think that you don't truly know who you are in their perspective. They think that you don't have maybe clear goals or aspirations and that you are generally a bit scattered. They do think you can be careless when it comes to them or when it comes to other things or other people. Like sometimes they feel that you don't really care about the impact that some of the things that you do or say can have on them and other people. So they do think you are unrealistic, that you live in, your own world, like this fantasy world. And they think that you don't really appreciate them or the things and people that you have in your life, that you can be a bit ungrateful in their, perspective. And, they could also think you're a bit bossy, demanding, and they could also think that you sometimes see yourself as superior to them or other people, or they could think that you are maybe a bit smug at times. They do think you're still pretty optimistic though about your life in general. They think you want to be independent, that you're trying to build up your self-respect, and they could also think that you're trying to gain the respect of other people in certain environments. And there is a sense of being unrealistic in each of these cards. So I think I said this already, but they could think that you are being unrealistic about a few different things in your life. They could also think that you're being critical of them, maybe too critical. And they also keep thinking that this wasn't how they were expecting things to turn out with you and the relationship they have with you. And they do think you are artistic, they do think you're creative, like they do think you're talented, and they do think you have a lot of potential. But sometimes they think that you can be quite maybe insensitive to them or other people, or just be like a bit of a bulldozer in some way. So we also have shame, regret, and guilt. Those are nonsense. We also have love. We have imagination. We have angel, tap into your higher wisdom. We also have fallen, drop into the deep end of your soul. We have life-changing experience or epiphany, and increased support. So with shame, regret, and guilt, those are just nonsense. They actually think that you don't feel any regret when it comes to them, the relationship that you have with them, some of the things that may have happened. And with love, it feels like they still have love for you, and that's something that they think about it. And another reason why they do feel hurt by you or some of the things that have happened. So with life-changing epiphany or experience, like they do think you've changed a lot, like, and they do think you are still trying to make certain life changes as well. With angel, tap into your higher wisdom, they think that that isn't something that you're doing right now. They think that maybe you do need to make wiser decisions, or they could think that you need to be more mature when it comes to them, your approach to them, and some of the things that are happening within your relationship. And with imagination, like they do think you have a great imagination, like they think you have good ideas. And I think I said earlier, but they do think you are, quite talented in certain ways. But they could sometimes think your imagination is overactive. Like they could even sometimes think that your imagination, your fantasies, or overthinking even kind of gets in the way of, certain things between you guys, maybe your relationship with them and such. So with increased support, like they do think you still need support, that you do need support. And with falling, dropping to the deep end of your soul, they actually think you're trying to avoid emotions, or avoid emotions when it comes to them in particular. And with increased support, they think you need support, but they could think you're seeking it out in the wrong places. And finally, I'm gonna grab some of these cards and then I will finish the reading there. Okay, so what are they thinking about you? So we have competitive, we have formal, we have questioning, and we have intelligent. So they do think you're quite competitive. They think in certain environments you need to be maybe more formal. And with questioning, they also think that you don't want them questioning you, or you don't want other people questioning you. And they also think you're very intelligent as well. But sometimes they do think you use the intelligence that you have for evil. Not evil, but they think you do maybe use it sometimes in a counterintuitive way, or not a positive way. Okay. But anyways, that is all I have for those of you who chose this group. I do hope it could be helpful, and I'm wishing you the best. Okay, take care of yourself. Bye.